time is money for these 18-wheeler companies. And so if they halt putting someone behind a tractor trailer, then that's money that they're losing in hauling freight.
Are you at risk on the roads because of bad big rig drivers? That's what we're going to ask the lawyer today. Hi, everybody. I'm Rob Rosenthal with AskTheLawyers.com, and my guest is attorney Carson Runge with the Sloan Firm in Longview, Texas. Carson, thank you for making some time to answer our questions today.
Thank you for having me.
So what is the risk of having, let's just say, unqualified drivers driving 18-wheelers on our roadways? What's the risk to people?
Well, the risk is significant, and the risk is that those 18-wheeler drivers who are unqualified are going to make a bad choice and therefore jeopardize the health, safety, and lives of you, me, and our families.
Now, I know that, people don't come to you to say, man, everything went great with a 18-wheeler. I don't have a complaint. But if you had to guess, how common is it that there are drivers out there driving these huge vehicles that are not prepared or not qualified for it?
Unfortunately, it's a very common issue, and it's an issue that we're seeing more and more of. The reality is that the motor carrier, the business who owns the tractor trailer and is putting these drivers on the road, have what are called minimum safety rules that they're supposed to follow. And part of those rules is checking into the background, the safety performance and driving history of applicants. And what we're seeing more and more of is that these 18-wheeler companies are not performing those minimum investigations that they're required to do.
Why would they not perform them, Carson?
I think that there are several reasons, but I think the most common reason that we see is that they're ready to get on the road, and time is money for these 18-wheeler companies. And so if they halt putting someone behind a tractor trailer, then that's money that they're losing in hauling freight. And so I have taken multiple depositions recently where these 18-wheeler drivers are getting the keys to these 18-wheelers on the day they apply.
And do you think it's an issue of them not doing the check, or maybe doing the check and kind of just, well, we won't pay attention to it, or is it both?
It's both. Yeah. Unfortunately, we have seen 18-wheeler companies not do the checks at all. I recently took a deposition of a bus company who didn't perform the check and then fraudulently created documents after their bus ran over a pedestrian, claiming that they did do the check.
Wow.
And ultimately, we were able to prove that those documents were fraud, and they finally admitted it. But we see both of them. Companies doing the checks and just ignoring the information and data they obtain, and companies not doing the checks at all.
I'm assuming there's special training that drivers are supposed to go through before they can legally take the wheel of these trucks?
There are. You have to have a CDL, and the 18-wheeler company or the motor carrier is supposed to do a driver's test to make sure that the driver can, through education, skill, and training, operate the 18-wheeler in a safe manner. And so there are some minimum safety tests and minimum qualifications that these drivers have to possess.
If I'm injured in a collision with one of these vehicles, and maybe they're not a qualified driver, Carson, is my case with the motor carrier company? Is it with the driver? Could it be with both? Is that the kind of thing I need an expert like yourself to help me sort out?
Well, it is, and the reason that you need to hire an attorney immediately is because the 18-wheeler company, the motor carrier, they're never going to provide you the driver qualification file without a lawsuit. Under no circumstances are they going to produce those documents without a subpoena and without a lawsuit. And so for you to even do the investigation into the driver's background and to really dig deep to see if the motor carrier performed the minimum safety rules, you're going to have a lawyer and you're going to have a lawsuit. And so I highly recommend to anybody, if they're injured in any type of commercial motor vehicle wreck, to immediately hire a qualified attorney to investigate, to file your lawsuit, and to look into the motor carrier and the driver. And your lawsuit can be against the driver and the company and or both. Under the law in the state of Texas, a motor carrier is responsible for the acts of their driver. And so if their driver makes a bad choice and as a result injures or kills someone, not only is the driver personally responsible, but so is the motor carrier who put that driver on the road.
Let's say before an accident happens, Carson, if I if I see somebody who I think is driving unsafely, may not be qualified, sometimes on commercial vehicles you see how's my driving? Call this number. Is there a process I can go through to help maybe try and get that person off the road?
Well, I think that if you see an 18-wheeler driver, a commercial motor vehicle driver driving erratically or irresponsibly, I would highly recommend that you call any 1-800 number that's seen on the trailer or on the tractor itself. I also know that the motor carrier's names should be listed on the side of the cab door. And there have been times, and I've done it at least once that I can recall off the top of my head, where it was so bad, I called 911 because I was truly afraid that someone was going to get killed on the road in front of me. And so calling the 1-800 numbers, calling the motor carrier itself once you get home and get into a safe spot, and or calling 911 if it's that bad. I'd highly recommend that you do that.
Carson, thank you so much for making some time, answering our questions, and helping us out today. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
It's always a pleasure to talk to you. That's going to do it for this episode of Ask the Lawyer. My guest has been Texas attorney Carson Runge. If you're ready to choose a lawyer that lawyers choose or get more information, head to askthelawyer.com. Also, please take a sec to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking the button below. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'm Rob Rosenthal with askthelawyer.com.